The self-proclaimed Man of Steel would rule over the Soviet Union until his death in 1953. Over the course of a little more than 2 decades, he transformed the Soviet Union from a technologically backward agricultural society into a nuclear-armed superpower. Remarkable as this feat was, it was achieved through suffering on a colossal scale. Stalin's Soviet Union was billed as a workers' paradise. Instead, it was a terrifying police state presided over by one of history's most brutal dictators. Number 10. The Soviet Famine of 1932 to 1933. In 1929, about 80% of Russia's population worked the land. Their way of life had been largely unchanged for generations. That was until Stalin launched what has been described as a civil war against the peasant class. Stalin's goal was to modernize agriculture in order to drive the rapid industrialization that he saw essential to the Soviet Union's future. The wealthier peasants, denounced by Stalin as rural capitalists, were executed or deported to prison camps in Siberia. The remainder were stripped of their land and livestock and forced to work the fields of the vast state-run collective farms. Many peasants chose to slaughter their livestock rather than hand it over to the state, resulting in catastrophic shortages. Grain production fell, but state quotas had to be met. The army and the secret police took all that could be found, leaving whole villages to starve. Any peasant found stealing a single grain could simply be shot. In towns and cities, mass graves were dug. In villages, the corpses were often left piled up by the side of the road, the living too weak to bury the dead. As the people suffered and starved, Stalin exported huge quantities of food abroad to fund the industrialization of the Soviet Union. The famine of 1932 to 1933 had been entirely preventable, but it caused the death of millions.